Okay, so we're in Sha'ar Hagilgulim. We're going to finish today with Hashem Hagdama Aleph. So just to recap what we said last week. First of all, our shiur should be Latzlachat Kol HaRavakim and Refuah Shlema for all Klal Yisrael. Ayin Arfan Aleim and Arfan Aleim. Shlemut should be Latzlachatam. So we said that a person is in the nefesh, alright? That we said two things last week. Number one, you could change your Shorish Neshama. You could change it. So if a person was from Shorish Kain, he could change it to Hevel. He was from Shorish Hevel, he could get something even higher than that. Person could change, but it's only after he finishes his nefesh. Before, once he gets to Ruach, then he could change it. In the nefesh, you're always picking up your own Shorish. You're not changing your nefesh. You're just picking up your nefesh to what? To the keter. Right? That's why we said that the nefesh is the hardest to fix. We said this many times. Like, one thing you should get out of this Hagdama Aleph, as we're finishing it, number one. First rule. The nefesh is the hardest to fix because you have to pick up your nefesh to the keter. Right? So if you're from Malchut, the Asiyah, you have to pick it up to keter, the Asiyah. If you're from Netzach, then to Netzach the Keter of Asiyah. Right? If you're from Hod to Keter the Asiyah. Right? And you have to do this 5 times because you have a Nefesh, Ruach, Neshama, Chaya, Yichida of the Nefesh. Right? So therefore, that's the hardest. Then we have a Ruach. You do the same thing. But in the Ruach, let's say you're from Malchut of Yitzira. Malchut. Once you finish your Malchut, you don't have to pick it up. You could leave it as is, and you could get yourself, let's say, the Yesod of the Yetzirah. You could level up. And now you have 2 Ruachs. And let's say your Neshama, after 120 years, you go to Gan Eden. And let's say you want to go down to help somebody from your Shorosh Neshama. So we learned last week, what goes down is not the highest part that you received from the Ruach and on, but the smallest part that you fixed. Let's say the Malchut, where you started off in Yetzirah, that Malchut, you fixed it, that goes down to help people. Not your highest part. That stays with you in Gan Eden. I was learning today the Rabbi Yehuda Ftayeh in Michat Yehuda. He writes over there, after 120 years, when a person dies, your body goes to the kever, right? To the kever. Your neshama goes to Gan Eden. In Gan Eden, you get a new body. It's not just the world of souls. It's not the world of souls.
They were so spiritual. What kind of body are we talking about?
A body from that realm. You get a body from the earth of Gan Eden.
But it looks the same.
It looks the same. I don't know. You might have wings. You might shine. Could be like Rabbi Chaim Vital saw in his vision. He had a dream once after he didn't learn Torah for 2 years before he met the Ari. He had a vision of tzaddikim in Gan Eden, how they looked like swans. There were tzaddikim that looked like swans in Gan Eden, and they would they would say Mishnayot, these birds, souls of tzaddikim, saying Mishnayot, and they're eating from the fruits of Gan Eden. But then there are some tzaddikim, but they're like humans. And they're sitting in the yeshiva with HaKadosh Baruch Hu learning Torah. So he asked them, Rabbi Chaim Vital asked Hashem in his vision, this is before he met the Ari. He says, why do these tzaddikim, they look like that? That's their thing, Gan Eden. And these tzaddikim, they're actually in a body and they're learning in the yeshiva. So why do they get more of a revelation? He says, those tzaddikim, they only wanted to learn Pshat when they were here. Mishnayot, Gemara, just the Pshat. But the tzaddikim who wanted to learn also the Soche Badavar, the Hasidut, the So, the Ari, the Zohar, wanted to get closer to Hashem, they have a higher revelation. They both have a revelation. That's the lowest Gan Eden, and there's a higher Gan Eden, and the higher Gan Eden, and the higher Gan Eden.
All the birds are Litvakim.
In Brooklyn, there's a lot of birds.
Come back as Hagilgulim of Svardim.
Huh?
They probably come back in Gilad.
Probably, of course, yeah. They say Rabbi Yehuda Ftayeh was the Gilgul of Noda Yehuda. Some say it's not true. Noda Yehuda himself was a very big Mekubal. He just hid it very well. He was very against the Baal Shem Tov, the Noda Yehuda. But they respected him. On his Yortzeit, they wouldn't say the Shem Yichud. Till today they have this minhag. On the Noda Yehuda's Yortzeit, they don't say the Shem Yichud because he was against saying it. Okay, it's different shmuot on this. But the point is that there's different revelations in the Gan Eden. So in Gan Eden you get a body too, right? So a person, but then when you're in this world, you get help from tzaddikim. That's their lowest part of their neshama. The lowest part. The high part stays with them in the Gan Eden. Okay? After a person dies, he goes through chibut hakever. If he's lucky enough to die on a Thursday night, Friday morning, and buried after the 5th hour of the day, the Tosefet Kedushat Shabbat is mivatel the chibut hakever. Mivatel the chibut hakever. He goes straight to the Beit Din, and he already knows his name. So the tum'ah of that goes away.
Why, if it's Friday morning, is a problem?
If, let's say that he dies Friday morning, and they wait to bury him until Friday afternoon, they specifically wait. They could have buried him right away, that's not good. You have to bury the body as soon as possible. But let's say they couldn't bury him right away, that he passed away at night, and they have to wait till the morning, till the hesped, this, that, it was Friday afternoon, right? Or let's say in his life, he had the minhag to say, Shnai Mikra early and go to the mikveh early. If you say Shnai Mikra early and go to the mikveh even before the 5th hour, but you did Shnai Mikra before, you get a Tosefet Neshama even before the 5th hour of the day. Again, Tosefet Neshama everyone gets after the 5th hour of Friday. So let's say 11 o'clock.
You don't get a Kabbalah Shabbat?
That's the actual Neshama. But then there's a Ha'ara. Right? That ha'ara is enough to be mevata the klipa. You understand? So let's say you did Shnai Mikra at 6 o'clock in the morning. You finished it by then, and you went to the mikveh. Every week. That was this guy's minhag. Even if he's buried on a Friday before the 5th hour, he's mevatel his chibut hakever. And then they see if he needs chas v'shalom, kafakela, if he needs gehenom, right? If you're a tzaddik, or you're learning Torah your whole life, you don't go to Gehenom. That's Hagdama Dalet in the Sha'ar Hagilgulim. If you open up chapter 4, people who learn Torah, but when I say learn Torah, not half an hour here, half an hour there. The guy, if he's not working or taking care of his kids, he's learning Torah. Right? This guy doesn't go to Gehenom. It doesn't help him. There's no point.
Even if you learn
he might go to Kafakela, but again,
that's worse though.
Let's say a person was Shomer Shabbat, he didn't do any nidah, he didn't do ni'uf in his life, ni'uf, adultery. He didn't do any of these major averot, karets, let's call them, any karets. He doesn't need to have any kafakela. Kafakela is only for a person who did eshet ish.
Yeah, but what if he
person who was Michael Shabbat beparhesia.
Well, he did all this tikkunim in his life.
If he did, of course, it cleans all of that.
You know.
You understand?
The Chalal Shabbat, they're what about that?
What? Michael Shabbat beparhesia?
Not Parisya. No, Paris is not Halachot Shabbat. On Shabbat he's being Mevatel.
So that's they have to see. They have to see.
But it
Might,
no,
kafakela you mean?
Right.
I put if it was bishogeg probably,
Is
and it's probably
is it Bishogeg if you're not trying to.
that's already cheshbonot shamayim. Only they know the truth. But probably gehenom would be enough for that. Person who speaks in the Beit HaKnesset during tefillah, during Chazrat Hashatz, huh?
Third level of Gehenom.
It's gehenom. Person who's mivatel minyan when he could make minyan, when he could make it, it's also gehenom.
If this person won't hear it,
But let's say a person doesn't go to minyan because he's mekaven kavanot harashash, and he cannot daven with a minyan anyways. That's something else. He doesn't have to go to the minyan. You understand? What are you saying?
the person did tshuva without any tikkunim, it says they're not going to remind him his sins over there when he did tshuva.
No, of course they're gonna. It depends what kind of. If he did tshuva me'ahava, tshuva out of love, yeah, that's something else. But if he did tshuva mirah, before he died, they say Ana Hashem Chatam Navinu Pashanu. This is not just Kisad over here. 90 years he's playing the violin, and then suddenly he's saying Ashanu Bagadnu. Of course, that Ashanu Bagadnu is something, but that's not enough to clean this Gehenom. They're gonna send the Gehenom. After Gehenom, when you're clean, then you go to Gan Eden. You're not allowed to go to Gan Eden even with a small.
But usually it's not a case. Usually they send people back because they need more.
Of course. We're gonna learn who comes back, who doesn't come back. But for sure, whoever learns Torah, it's Hakdamat Dalet and Sha'ar Hagilgulim, he doesn't go to Gehenom. When I say learn Torah, once again, that means he's learning Torah. He's not just playing around. Okay? Learning Torah means you take a Masechet, I'm finishing the Masechet. I'm taking a Gemara, I'm finishing the Gemara, the Mishnayot, I'm finishing Shas, I'm finishing Chukul Yisrael, I'm finishing something, Kitvei Ha'ari, I'm finishing Zohar, I'm finishing something in my life. Right? That's Limud. Let's continue. So that's one thing you got to take with yourself. In Asiyah and Nefesh, you got to get to the Keter, correct? And in Ruach, you could change Ruach and An, Ruach Neshama Chayachida, you could change your Shoresh Neshama. Okay? That should be a given at this point. It says the Ari HaKadosh, no, כי כמו שנתבהר אצלנו שבכל עולם העולם יש 5 פרצופים. In every world there are 5 systems. Let's think about it as 5 solar systems in every world. Arich, Abba ve'ima, and Zun. Correct? You should know by heart already. 5 systems. Arich, Abba, Ima, Za, and Nok. In other words, Keter, Chokhmah, Bina, Tiferet, Malchut. Right? 5 systems. כך יש כנגדם 5 בחינות בנשמת האדם. So too, from these 5 systems, you get 5 parts of your neshama. From Keter, Arich, you get your Yechidah, Gabriel. From Chokhmah, Abba, you get your Chaya. Bina, you get your Neshama. Tiferet, Za, you get your Ruach. And from the Nukva, Shechina, the Malchut, you get your Nefesh. Okay? It's good to make a chart. Arich, Keter, Yechidah. Abba, Chokhmah, Chaya. Ima, Bina, Neshama. Za, Tiferet, Ruach. Malchut, Nok, Nefesh. That's the chart.
We have to have notes of this.
What?
You gotta have notes of this.
You guys heard it so many times. You should know it at this
So
point.
like kasha in heads.
It's like you gotta sift that out, alright, afterwards. So the Chaya comes from Abba Kisham Mekom HaChayim. The Chaya is the highest part, by the way, that you could reach in this world till Mashiach comes. The Chaya. Shu Mekom HaChayim. That's where the Chayim comes from. Kenoda. VaChokhmah, the pasuk says, the Chokhmah Techaye Ba'aleh, gives life to its owner. VaYichida Me'arich Hanikra Keter. Yichida comes from Arich, which is Keter. Why? Because the Keter Hu Yachidu Miyuchad. It's one and only. It's Miyuchad. It's special. Mikol Sha'ar Sfirot She'elo Nekeva Ke'adam Pasuk Ru Ata Ki Ani Ani Hu. The Sfira of Keter doesn't have a negative part. It's all positive. Every Sfira, every emanation of Hashem, every characteristic that Hashem reveals, not that He has that characteristic, but He reveals, has a negative to it. Abba has Ima. Za has Nok. Right? Netzach has Hod. Right? Chesed has Gvura. In Tiferet, you have Chasadim and Gvurot.
So
everything has a negative.
So
Plus and minus.
Abba is the positive.
Abba is the positive,
And
Ima is the negative.
Okay.
Of course, we know that.
No negative.
Chokhmah is oil. All the oil you see in this world, it starts in Chokhmah. It trickles down, and it turns into oil. You get it? The Sfira Chokhmah ends in Atzilut, yeah? The world of Atzilut. The Abba, the Chokhmah. As it goes down to the world of Bria, it gets more dense, gets more materialistic. It goes to Yitzirah, it gets even more materialistic. It goes into Asiyah, it turns into an olive tree. Then you take this olive tree, you squeeze it out. You're the one who finishes the job. You squeeze it out, you take out the oil. So really, where does oil come from? Chokhmah. That's why when we light a candle for a person, it's better to do it with olive oil. Because the Chokhmah techaye ba'aleha. It's like you're giving life to the neshama. You see what I'm saying? That's Kabbalistic already. That's Chokhmah. Chokhmah is also, that's where silence comes from. What does the Mishnah in Avot say? Siyag lechokhmah shtika. Right? That's where Bina is chaos. You understand? Dinim. Right? Oil comes from Chokhmah, wine comes from Bina. Grapes, wine comes from Bina. Gvura, exactly. Bina is the head of the left column. You understand? Gvura comes from Bina. So Bina turns into Gvura, which turns into Hod, which goes down to the world of Bria, Yitzirah, and Asiyah, it turns into vines, grapevines. Right? Then it turns into wine and it makes you happy when you drink it. Because happiness comes from Bina. The source of happiness is in Bina. The source of bitul, nullification, is in Chokhmah. And the source of nothingness is in Keter. You understand?
That's what happy wife,
Happy I like that. Happy wife, happy bina, happy chokhmah. Okay, I like it. Alright, so you guys get how everything comes from everything?
Basically,
Okay.
a man have to nullify himself the way you should
A man,
train.
that's how you have to do in Avodat Hashem. The true simcha is a big level. It's bina. You have to, that's neshama, right? You have to jump there. You gotta get to chaya, right? Nobody ever reached the chaya of the chaya, by the way. Mashiach will reach it. He's going to reach chaya and yechidah. Alright? So that's where the chaya is. Veda, and no. כי אחר שהאדם זכה לקח niran, when a man has the merit to work on himself and he reaches his nefesh, his ruach has a neshama, ואחר כך פגם בהם על ידי חטאו, then he did העבירה, חס ושלום, did חילול שבת, let's say. And since he has all three in him right now, his nefesh, ruach, and neshama, so he makes a pegam in one of them or in all three of them?
All three.
All three get the pegam. So the higher you get, it's also a bigger responsibility. Right? And let's say he didn't do the tikkun he's supposed to do. יצטרך לחזור בגלגול לתקן את אשר עיוות. So he has to come back to fix what he did. לתקן, to take off to scrub it off. הנה בחזרתו לבוא בגלגול ותבוא בו הנפש. When he comes back, first his nefesh is going to come with.
He has to come back
3 times?
So let's see. First he starts off with his nefesh. They're not going to give him his ruach and neshama right away with his
So
nefesh.
he's not going to mess it up everything.
Yeah, then he's going to mess up even more. First he gets his nefesh, he fixes it. Then they'll give him his ruach. But he might die in between. We're going to see. Now he's just giving you the first chapter. He's giving you a taste. Even though you've already fixed this nefesh. His ruach will not come inside of him now. See what happens is, let's say he got his nefesh now, he fixed it. They won't send him his ruach now inside of him. Why? The ruach is not fixed. It has a blemish. His nefesh is good. If his ruach is going to come inside to his nefesh now, it's going to mess up his nefesh. Even though in the source, the ruach is a much higher level.
Right, this makes sense.
But since the ruach is cut, and the nefesh, he fixed it again. When the ruach will come and sit in his nefesh, it's going to ruin the nefesh. So they're going to send the ruach to somebody else. לכן הרוח יבוא בגלגול אדם אחר. It's going to come into teamwork now. מורכב, but now the ruach can't come alone because the ruach cannot combine with the body.
So you have to connect to different nefesh.
Exactly. Which nefesh? They're going to give him a new nefesh. A fresh one. It's called nefesh hagel. Those are nefeshes that are not made by the malchut of Atzilut. They're made by the zivug of tzaddikim. Much lower neshamot.
All the gerim today essentially are...
All gerim start with nefesh hager.
But over there it's the ruach that's in control, it's not the nefesh. So in other
yeah,
words,
but the nefesh hager is still, even though it's new, it might ruin the ruach even more.
But when the person comes out with the ruach of the tzaddik...
The ruach is blemished.
Right.
And he has a nefesh hager.
So then which one is he?
He's the ruach and the nefesh hager.
No, he comes back afterwards, the nefesh.
Who?
Once he passes away.
Oh, and the nefesh hager you're talking about?
Yeah.
Then it's going to go inside a goy, and the goy will convert because of it. You understand? So and that goy that converted will want to like that tzaddik. Now, he'll want him right now. Because he feels a connection to him. He doesn't know why. Some gerim, they convert, suddenly they want to be Hasidic. Some gerim convert, they want to be Litvish. Some gerim convert, they want to be Ari. Like the Ari, right? There is a reason why. It must be somebody who had that nefesh hager. He fixed that nefesh and he put it in that situation.
Remember the gear? With the Uman, American guy?
Who knows who had him before?
He's in the Bechemish now.
I know. Many good people did in Bechemish.
Right.
But Ken Neshama, same thing with the Neshama Va'nefesh. So people say the same thing with the Neshama. Also the Neshama, which comes into a third guy, right? It's also going to come in a Nefesh Hager.
So even all the big Tanaim, Shmaya Avtalyon, Onkelos, so they were Nefesh Hager?
Shmaya Avtalyon, they were descendants of Gerim.
Fine, so Onkelos?
Onkelos had Nefesh Hager.
So you went through this whole process?
Of course.
Wow.
But there are some tzaddikim, they have to come through this pathway. Because the neshamot are so big, the klipot won't let their neshama come out unless it comes with a caveat. Like Rabbi Akiva. Right?
Avraham.
Avraham Avinu. Right? David HaMelech. The whole line of the Mashiach comes out through with a lot of guk. David,
Lot,
Rechavam, the whole Shalom, with Bathsheba, the whole story. Came with a lot of klipot over there, right? Boaz and Ruth, in the middle of the night, she sneaks under his blanket. Like, you read the story, like, what the heck is she doing over there? My mother-in-law told me to do it. Oh, it's a nice daughter-in-law. That's what she's told Boaz, right? But Boaz didn't do anything that night.
Further back, Yehuda,
Tamar.
but if he did, it would be Agra or not?
Oh, Boaz? No, he didn't do anything.
No, I say if he would, it would be considered Agra, no? How? Because,
the Midrash does say that Ruth dipped in the mikveh first, before she went.
She was not a nidash.
Her and Tamar.
Yeah.
The kasha is, even if she dips in the mikveh, there's a halacha. Once a woman, let's say they make a shidduch right away, there's the Gemara says she might have a drop of blood coming out from excitedness. From the excitement, she might have a drop of blood come out. So how did no, it's counted as dam nida. Yeah. So the Gemara asks a question, it's in halacha, is how did Tamar and Ruth go to the Tamar with Yehuda, Ruth with Boaz? At that moment, she must have seen a dam nida, and the answer is
She did.
She had a moch. One answer is that she had a moch over there. Moch is like a bdika cloth. She had it over there ready. And it was clean. Well, Ruth didn't need it at the end. She didn't do it, but Tamar needed it, right? But it's not for us. These stories are yotzim min haklal, even though the Chachamim do bring questions. But anyways, the nefesh שנתקנה לגמרי, תבוא לו רוח מתוקן של איזה צדיק שתדמה אליו ומעשיו הטובים בפרטם כיוצא בהם. Now what happens to the guy? So let's start from the beginning. Moshe had a nefesh ruach neshama. He ruined it. Now the nefesh comes into Aharon. Ruach comes into Chur, and neshama comes into Avraham. So you have Aharon, Chur, and Avraham, Chur, and Aharon, Chur, and Avraham have the Neran that originally belonged to Moshe. Correct? Now let's take Aharon. He has the Nefesh. Right? He fixed it. Now, he also wants a Ruach. Whose Ruach is he getting? Who has the Ruach? Chur has the Ruach. Right?
Mm-hmm.
So whose ruach is he gonna get? Says the Ari is gonna get a ruach of a tzaddik. Remember those ruachs I said, the tzaddikim, they could change their shorsh neshama, so they leave some of their original ones on the bottom to come as an ibur. That's who he's gonna get. Ruach of a tzaddik. What's the plus here? Plus is, first of all, he lives longer, right? And he has the ruach of a tzaddik.
In this case, nobody dies.
Nobody dies, but what's the bad part? When he dies, that ruach is going to go back to its original owner. He's not going to wake up in Tichat HaMetim with that ruach.
So what's the point of him working all this, fixing all this road, and if he's not going to get it?
He's doing a plus for that tzaddik. That tzaddik gains the mitzvot, and he also gains those mitzvot. He will get reward, but only in the level of a nefesh. You understand? Now we're going to learn in Hagdama Gimel, sometimes the person that has the nefesh, he could take, when he gets into Tichat HaMetim, he'll take the ruach from the guy who had the ruach. And the guy with the ruach won't get up with anything. Sometimes the guy with the ruach, with his kavanah, he could take the nefesh for himself in Tichat HaMetim. How? It depends the kavanah and nefilat hapayim. And the David Alecha Hashem Nafshi Yesa, who has the higher kavanah, the guy with the nefesh or the guy with the ruach? If the guy with the, that's what David HaMelech meant when he says Hatzila Mecher Nafshi Miat Kelev Yichirati. The Ari says he was afraid somebody's gonna take his ruach because he sinned with Bathsheba. He was afraid of that. And in Tichat HaMetim, the guy with his ruach is gonna wake up with his nefesh, and his body's gonna go to waste. He was afraid of that. Hashem said, "Don't worry, you're gonna get up with your farts." To the soul, it doesn't make a difference. The soul does want to be united with his ruach. But the body, the body, he works so hard. 70, 80, 90 years, right? And he just goes to bye-bye. Right?
Even the body, he had children, he did all the mitzvot.
It could be, in the case, that the ruach will take the nefesh for himself. You understand? There are cases like that too. Therefore, the guys who learn Torah Hasod, they have the plus.
But generally speaking, a person that gets different gilgul after gilgul after gilgul, they all get up.
Sometimes the arcade.
No, if he's worthy, they'll all get up.
No, that's one way of looking at it. Another way, it depends. If the guy was originally a person that had all three pieces, nefesh, ruach, neshama, then it came back into three distinctive people. One of those guys, if he has a big schut, could suck the other two guys into him. That's what Ari is saying. We're going to learn more about it in Hagdama Gimel and Dal. First, let's finish the parak. Vehu elav tmuato ruchosh. So the guy with the nefesh, he gets the ruach of a tzaddik Gabriel, and it's like his ruach. The kenda ader zeim tiken gama ruach. So to the guy with the ruach, he fixed his ruach. Tavalo neshama me'ezet tzaddik. Iskaroti elav tmuato nishmato mamash. Same idea. He'll get the neshama of some tzaddik, and he'll continue living. וזה סוד הפסוק, what the Chazal say in Chulin, דף זין, גדולים צדיקים במיתתם יותר מבחייהם. Greater are tzaddikim in their death, in their life. I mean, tzaddikim could live a very long life. They could keep on coming back to help people out. So greater tzaddikim in their death than in their life. Last paragraph. והנה כאשר ייפטר האיש הזה מן העולם, תלך נפשו עם הרוח ההוא ועל ידו תקבל השפע הראוי אליה. The guy with the nefesh that has the ruach of the tzaddik, what happens after he dies? He gets upgraded in Gan Eden. Since he was with the ruach of the tzaddik upgrades him to his level. Business class. כאשר רוחו של עצמו הבאה בגלגול אדם אחר מורכב בנפש הגר, כנזכר נתקן גם הוא לגמרי, אז הנפש הראשונה עמד לך רשו אל אישי ראשון. Even though he gets upgraded to the ruach of the tzaddik, look how the neshamot play. Once his ruach dies, the second guy, and he goes to Gan Eden, the nefesh says to the ruach of the tzaddik, I like being with you up here, but I'd rather go back to my own peace, my own ruach. You get it? The guy had a nefesh and ruach. Each one fixed it and got a ruach of a tzaddik and a neshama of a tzaddik. When let's say the guy with the nefesh dies, he goes up, he gets upgraded to the ruach of the tzaddik. But when his own ruach will die, he'll say to the tzaddik, Shalom al Israel, I want to go back to my original partner. You get it? Because you always want, the truth is, you're always more comfortable with family. You're always more comfortable with your own people. You understand? So the nefesh, his true ben zug is his own ruach. He wants to be with his own kind. He wants to shtim with his own thing. You understand? That's a beautiful chidush over here. That's the end of Hagdama Bet. So basically, just to recap, when a person does an avera and he has all parts of his neshama, he's pogem in all parts of his neshama. And since he's pogem in all parts, they all come back into three separate Hagilgulim.
That's if he dies without fixing it.
But let's say Adam Harishon, no matter how much he fasted for 130 years, he couldn't fix that 1 second of whatever, how long he was eating from Etz Hadat.
Probably if you didn't go to the tree, would probably be better, right?
What, because of the carry and everything?
Yeah, because you told, last time you said that was the main problem.
Yeah, that was. That was, but if it wasn't for that, we wouldn't be here today too. But the point is that each one comes into three separate Hagilgulim, and each one fixes his own part, and then they could upgrade to the Nefesh, Ruach, Neshama of a Tzaddik as an Ibur. But after they die, all three people, they'll rejoin together in Shamayim and Gan Eden. In one house, they'll be together as one people. Okay? In Tchiyat HaMetim, it's a different story. That's what we're going to learn in Hagdama Gimel and Dal. Who gets the higher part in Tchiyat HaMetim? Tchiyat HaMetim is not so simple. I don't know if so many people are going to get up.
No, you have a lot things you need to qualifications.
Yeah, you need a lot of qualifications. תחילת המילים זה לא פשוט. You know?
But if it's only temporary, it's like last time I was talking to you, 1,000 years.
But the way he...
we're working for so long, and then it's going to be also temporary. I mean,
but it's more than right now. It's temporary, but it's still very long.
The temporary word. This is because I'm thinking once we've
Because
done,
you want to live forever, yeah.
That's it. That's all the point of.
What are you gonna do forever?
Enjoy
Okay, enjoy. Okay, yeah. Amen.
תודה בסוד.
זה הקדמה.